Welcome to Management 111 online offered by Harper College. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. We'll be utilizing Blackboard Course Management System. This week we're going to be talking about, we'll be covering Chapter 2, Economics, and Chapter 3, Global Business. Before I get into the two chapters, some of the main points that you look at, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Well, we made it through the first week, so most of you are on board. You already be familiar with Connect. So let's look at Connect. Now, Connect is McGraw-Hill integrated software. This week, a little different in Connect. In the syllabi, it's stated that for every chapter, you'll have a 10-point Connect assignment that you can do as many times as you want until you reach the maximum grade or the due date. But since so you're already familiar with the Connect, those who've done it last week, those who signed up a little bit later and did not complete it last week, I'll leave the Connect open for one more week, but make sure you complete it, because once the week assignment is done, I'll turn off the assignment and those points will no longer be available. But this week, instead of covering two, you're still going to be covering Chapter 2 and economics and Chapter 3, but instead of the regular Connect, we do the drag and drop and the videos, you're going to be doing a other aspect of Connect, which is called Learn Smart. Now, Learn Smart, I set it up for 35 minutes, and how Learn Smart works is a little different to Connect. It's an interactive software. So in Blackboard, make sure you go into it says Connect Help button on the left-hand side when you log into Blackboard, and it's a narrated PowerPoint that will explain Connect and Learn Smart if you never had that before. And there's also tutorials within McGraw-Hill, what do you call it, Connect when you log into them. So if you have any issues, now another thing, if you have any issues with Connect is a McGraw-Hill software program. There you have a phone number that you could call Connect. They're open. They have real good hours. They're open late at night and on some of the weekends. I think Saturday and maybe even Sunday. So when you call in with a Connect issue, you will tell them this course number. You will basically get an incident number from them. They'll try to resolve any of your Connect issues. If for some reason they find out that it was a system problem, they will be in contact with me and letting me know that there was an issue, and I'll do a manual adjustment on the Connect rate. So, all right. So now, the Learn Smart. The Learn Smart, I have it set up for 35 minutes, and I only have it set up for Chapter 2, Economics. Now, when I look at Chapter 2, because it's a hard chapter, so it works a little bit different. It's going to ask you, how comfortable are you with the material? You say real comfortable, I know this real well, it'll start you off with harder questions and you get through faster. If you say I have no clue, I'm not sure, I'm so-and-so, so it'll start off on a slower pace, but it'll ask you questions. So if you keep on missing a question wrong by guessing, it'll basically stop and say, hey, time out. In this section of the book, you should review this material before you go forward. Okay, so that's the Learn Smart. But so it's only this is the only week you're going to have to Learn Smart. That's going to be worth 20 points because it's another learning. So when you do the Learn Smart, it's worth 20 points. So make sure, and you have till next Saturday to complete it. So now we have the Connect out of the way. So the other portion of this class is your forums. Now the forums, the first week was just real general forum, getting to know you, you respond back and forth. Here are the rules for the forums. You need to log in 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Okay, I know sometimes your schedules may not make it Monday, but you can log in on Tuesday, and then you'll log in on Wednesday and Thursday. But you have to have your first post to me by Tuesday midnight. Otherwise, it's too late. Some students have been logging in at the end and making some forums from my previous classes, and you can't really get a discussion going. So by Tuesday, expect some your first post to me. Now, you have to log in 3 times, 3 different separate days, and in each day you log in, you will respond to 3 other students or more. And and not to say, hey, that's a real good question. This is to improve your written communication skills. So when you log in and there's a question, say, hey, I agree with this. Try to start using the vocabulary from the book into your communications. This is how you learn the new material. You've got the Connect software, you have the reading, and now you'll have some of the forums. So when you complete so you respond to 3 students, and they'll give you responses back and forth. So remember, in the forums are graded forums. Your first forum is going to be your major forum. It's going to have some kind of question. The second forum is like a minor forum, which is say, hey, how are we doing in class? Kind of like a water cooler, for lack of a better word, a virtual water cooler. So you could say, I'm doing fine, or I have no questions. But you have to respond to me saying, I have no questions, or I have a question. And now, even if you have no questions, you're still responsible to look within that forum, that water cool forum, to see if you could help someone else. Similar to, because I'm trying to set up the forums, and not only as replacing the lecture in a face-to-face class, but also to improve your community, your virtual communications, which in every business you have to talk to other customers, you have to talk to clients. So how do I write to a business partner? How do I write to one of my colleagues? How do I write to a customer? You're not going to say, hey, George, how you doing, dude? You owe me some money. That is not business professional. That's not at a college level. This is not a Twitter post. This is not a social media. This is basically at a college level writing and communication. Okay, so we'll have the form. So you'll have one for the main form. You have to respond to me 3 times: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Saturday, it should be your in case for some reason something happens on Friday and you can't get it in by midnight, I'll let you respond your last post on Saturday before noon, so other students could look at it. When it comes afternoon, the forum is turned off, and if you didn't respond, those points are closed. Now, some students will say, hey, I have some information, but I want to recapture some of the forums. It's closed, I can't get into them. When you look in your gradebook, I opened up under Tools, I marked it Students Gradebook. When you click in on your forum grade for that week, you click on there, you'll be able to see the closed forums to everything that someone responded to you or who you responded to. So you still could get access to that, it's just you can't add anymore. Okay, so that'll take care of the forums, and make sure you get done the forums, because remember, the forums are 30% of your overall grade, which is a pretty big chunk. Now, so we have the forums. Also on the forums, make sure you always utilize as a person's first name, saying hello, George, or yes, George, I agree with you. So this way, when other people are reading the forums, it's easier for them to track on that. So, but you've done pretty well. Most of the students did very well. Some of you hadn't completed your Connect homework. So make sure you go in there and you go to the week 1, and you click on, or week 2, and you go Connect homework. And this week you're going to see Learn Smart Connect, and you click on it, and you'll be all set. Okay, so you've got the first name, you've got the forums. I explained the main forums and the minor forums. Main ones are usually worth 15 to 20 points. Minor ones are always 5 points or less. Once in a while I have an assessment. Not this week. I'm trying to get you on board. So this will help you with your time management. Okay, now let's see. I've got that. Now after you finish, so your virtual online week will always be the same. It'll be a very similar format. You'll click into Module 2 this week. You'll have an overview YouTube, like you're listening to me now. You will have an overview written that you can print out and say, here's everything I need. Here's what I have to do for the forums and the points. The points will normally run 60 points every week. Plus, usually around 60, sometimes maybe a little bit more if I'm giving you, it's a complicated subject matter and I want to help the class bring up their overall points. So it'll be worth 60. Or when we have Labor Day coming up, it's on a Monday, I may not ask as much, so your points may go down a little bit. So it'll be all right. So you're going to log in, you're going to look at the video, you're going to print out and look at the overview, the written overview for your own notes. You will also then have your Connect assignments, whether it's a Learn Smart or the normal Connect one. You'll then, after you completed this, then you'll have your quizzes. Now you'll have a quiz. This week you have a quiz in Chapter 2 and 3. The quizzes are set up normally for an online class. I'm only supposed to give you 30 seconds per questions to make sure that there's no cheating or anything involved, and that you really know material. I'm fairly flexible on that, so I've given you a little bit extra time than what is required for the quizzes going forward, so that you get a hold of the quizzes. So after you read the Connect, you had the forums. The last thing you should do is the quizzes. This week we're covering 2 chapters, chapters 2 and 3. And you'll have a quiz, 10 questions per each chapter, or 20 points. So you'll do chapter 10, let's see, chapter 2 will go first, and then chapter 3. I haven't scrambled the quizzes at the beginning because I want you to get comfortable with the online quizzes. This is separate than what's in Connect. The other thing I want you to be aware of, that Connect and even the publishers, since you have a brand new book here, has a resource guide. When you go into Connect, after you do the homework, if you look at the top, it says go back to the home page. At the home page, some of the Connects that haven't been closed out yet, you could go in through that way and complete the Connect. You also have a report option. You can click on there and see what scores you received on it in case you forgot. You also have a library that has extra flashcards, extra homework assignment, extra Connect assignments. You're not getting any points for these, but these do help if you want to learn the subject matter. So that's it in a nutshell for the housekeeping. Now let's start. Oh, another thing I've noticed that for some reason the publisher, since you're utilizing the Connect, they did not include the PowerPoints under the course document. What I will do later this week, and if I haven't sent someone to mention it in the forum, I will create a button that says Students PowerPoints, and I'll give you the basic PowerPoints that I will be presenting within the class if this was face-to-face class. So you could print them out. Now look, when you print them out, don't print out all of them, the large sheets. Go into when it says print out, if you're not familiar with PowerPoint, and click down and it'll have like a notes printout. So this way, instead of one big sheet printing out, you'll have the sheets, but you'll have 3 different slides on there where you can write your notes on there. The other thing I supply to you that I like using Conceptual Map. Conceptual Map gives you kind of an idea what the whole project, the chapter is about. I will give you to the first tier of the Conceptual Map, so you don't have all the information, but you have a general idea how the book's laid out. Then you could add notes. So between the PowerPoints, the mind maps, and they look something like this. If I look at the mind maps, this is for chapter 2. You see, it'll be a little bit more, and then you'll have another one that's for chapter 3. I mean, I've done these where it's real large, but you'll have a little more fanned out on what do you call it, the concept map. This way you can see the overview, everything else. You'll see what the main topics, you see what's important, and this just help you study. So if I look at chapter 2, economics. Now the reason I did the Learn Smart in economics is for most of you who's going into business or management or marketing, you have to take macro and microeconomics. So this is just an overview. You're going to look at what's economics, and you need economics in business to see whether I expand my business, how my pricing, how my customers, what's the future going on. You'll look at Thomas Mathis, which is talking about the invisible hand. Make sure you, the dismal science. I got them mixed up. Thomas Mathis is dismal science. Make sure you focus in on that. Adam Smith has the invisible hand. They're going to talk about the Green Revolution. You have President Obama in power, in office now, and he's very green. When I say green, not green as a president, but green environmentally focused. So most of the money for business that's available through the government, if you have anything else that will help reduce the emissions or the emission of the company's emission footprint, you may get grants. Remember, there's a difference between a grant and a loan. A grant, you don't have to pay back as long as you meet these requirements. Make sure you understand the demand and the supply curve. The supply curve is in reference to the business, how many units I will purchase. The demand curve is looking at how much I as a customer will pay. When you put the two curves together, you have what they call the market price, or the equilibrium price, is what price I should charge that I will make a profit and my consumers are willing to pay for that amount. I think right now Nike came out with a new gym shoe worth $305. Big uproar. You know, there's a lot of people out of work. The economy is terrible. Will people pay $300 for a Nike, the new Nike gym shoe? Depends. Remember, in marketing and business and everything else, who are my target customers? When they're going for the $300, they're going for name recognition, they're going for peer pressures, people that, hey, look, I got a Nike, or they're going for a certain class of clientele that could afford those. Okay, so we have that, the degrees of competition, the benefits of a free market, and that's basically Adam Smith is for, we're in the United States, we're a capitalistic environment, system. We have the communist system, we have the social system. They talk about the positive and negatives of the different systems. One thing, remember, whether we could say we're capitalistics and Russia is, for lack of better words, is communist, or China's communist. no system except for, not even Cuba anymore, except for North Korea, are pure. The United States, we're leaning more, we're capitalistic, but we have some socialist tendency. We got the Obama care, we had, or the health care, we have the Social Security, certain things. Now you have a socialist system like Russia and China. Communists like Russia and China used to be, but they're now coming into more of a free market. But they still have the communism, but it's not pure communism. They're adapting to the world system. Then you have the socialist system. You have the European Union. What are they doing? They have to go more with the capitalistic thing. Because remember, when I'm doing the different systems that a government employs, all of this is how do I take the natural resources of my country, of all my constituents, my output and everything else, and I distribute it among my constituents or members of that country. In the U.S., it's a free market. You could become anything you want, and your tax rate is a lot lower than it is in a socialist country. In a socialist country, you may pay 60 to 65 cents in taxes, and 30 to 35 cents is what you get to keep. Because the tax basics, you have longer vacations, you have a lot of more benefits, education, everything else is paid for. But if you're looking at what's happening in the European Union, they're not very competitive. So now they're trying to take away some of this, and they're leaning more to a capitalistic, where we in the United States are leaning more towards a social, a blend of both. Okay. Now the next chapter, what you're going to have, and then so that's going to be your Learn Smart. Now then. The second chapter you'll be reading is Introduction to Global Business. When I look at, again, you have a mind map, global business, what's important. When I look at this chapter, your forms are going to be on chapter 3. You will go into the first form, and I have a link that's, I think it's it's executive planet. And what part of the form is in business, I have to understand whether I'm buying my supplies overseas, bringing them in, or I am selling my products overseas. The big difference on that is going to be our trade agreements we have with different countries. Remember, we have the trade agreement here in North America. When I say North America, the continent, we have Canada, we have United States, and we have Mexico under NAFTA. And they have some agreements, some free trade agreements. It's not moving people. I'm not talking immigration. It's basically goods coming back and forth. Immigration, different issues. So look at that. Some legal concerns, forces affecting trade, economic and financial, legal and regulatory when I'm buying or selling in a host country, the difference between embargo, make sure you understand what sovereign wealth is. That's a big issue going about sovereign wealth. You see, China is buying a lot of sovereign wealth from a lot of countries. What that basically means in Africa, I have the diamonds or I have plutonium, whatever mine. So China says it will come into the Chinese government. The Chinese government will go to the South African government and say, we will help develop your infrastructure, but we have first bids at some of your the plutonium because we're helping you out to extract that from your mines. So now they've got that locked up. It's almost like a futures or a commodity. They bought that for a reason, but then the money goes back at a fixed price back to the Chinese government. How the government distributes is a different issue. This is strictly business class. I'm not getting into the politics or anything else. Remember, in business, we do not get into the politics, okay? Make sure you know the difference between export, imports, how you measure global trade, the balance of payments, and the balance of trade deficits. Understand those. What are some unfair business practices overseas? You've got the dumping issue. Make sure you understand the corrupt Practice Act affecting business people. How do I enter into strategies, enter into the global market? You have multinationals, you have joint ventures, you have licensing, you have franchising, direct foreign investments, all these. And how do I get help? Your book in Blackboard, if you look at it now, okay, so that's chapter 3. Your form, since Learn Smart is going to take care of your economic chapter 2, I know you understand that. Your form is going to be, you're going to go in, I gave you a website on Executive Planet, and also there's other websites when you go into Blackboard where it says course documents, and I have that stated in the write-up. When I go into the course documents, you'll see, let's say, I think it says Global Center. You click on there, and they have about 20 other sites, looking at different gestures, how do I dress, what's kind of the mannerism for business. If you don't like the executive planet one, what I wanted you to do, pick a country. If I was born in Germany, but not a German citizen, because remember, I mentioned if you read my bio. But let's say if I was born in Germany and I understand the German culture, don't take Germany as the culture that you're going to do, understanding how German people do business. You'll pick a country that you're not familiar, because that's how you're going to learn. When I do business, I know I want to sell my product worldwide, and we could do that through the internet. We'll find out later on when we do the technology at the end. But I'm going to be focused. Let's say I'm going to NAFTA because they're close to the United States or Canada. What do I do? What do I have to know about the Mexicans, or what do I have to know about the Canadians? How do they do business? Are they similar to ours? I don't want to say anything that's going to upset them, because like when you go to, I'll use Canada. Canada are very similar to the U.S. Same thing with the European Union. Same kind of business structure, even though they're speaking a different language. But remember, business is the basic language in the world. Because you're going to have one language, everyone's got to communicate in the world. It's just English is the default. But so if I go to Canada and I go to meetings, hey, you guys are just you Canadians, you're just like American. Whoa, they're going to look at you and go, we are not Americans, we are Canadians, we are a lot different than American. You see what I mean? So what you're doing in a forum, you're trying to find out something that's not going to upset them. So when I'm doing business with someone, I have to understand those little things that I may say right, or I may say wrong. Do I shake hands if I'm talking to Chinese? If I'm dealing with China, do I bow in China or Japan or Korea, or do I shake hands? How do I dress? Do I give flowers or certain colors? Those are the things you're going to post. So you're going to post in your forum. Hi, I picked Germany. I picked Poland. I picked Spain. I picked whatever country. So in the subject area, you're going to say Spain, or whatever country you selected, and then tell me a few things that you have learned that you say, if I have to do business, here's what's the business attire. Here's if I'm a woman, how do I address a certain issue in a business setting. And then also, if I go out after the meeting, how should I address, like, say, if I'm in the Middle Eastern, women have to have a different garment, different kind of attire, other than in a business. In a business setting, it's a little different. I mean, you could come in there because you understand this is a business setting, we're international, but now you're going to go outside in the host country because that's where you're stationed at, or you're dealing with what's an acceptable practice. And now you'll post several things that I have in there, and then other students respond back and forth, and you'll be surprised. In this forum, you'll learn more about different countries. Everyone's going to pick a different country that they don't know and find something about it. Okay? So that's your forum. So remember, every week you're going to see a quick video like this. You're going to you have the overview telling you what's required. You're going to read your chapters. You're going to have the McGraw-Hill Connect or Learn Smarts all in there. You're always going to have one or two forums worth 20 points or 25, depending on the subject matter. And then at the end, you'll do your quiz. Now, you don't have to, look, what I'm trying to help people to do is your time management. You can't do everything at once. Don't try to sit down. I'm going to sit down today and do it. The way I set it up with logging in 3 times at different dates and everything else, it's set up to manage your time. In business, I have several clients. A lot of times when I was in the corporate world, let's say if I was an account manager or a manager of all of Lake County or of all of Cook County, I have a lot of customers I have to do. I have a lot of requests. But all my requests aren't going to happen at all at the same time. And I'm not going to have all the information for all my requests at the same time. So I do as much as I can. So I'll sit down today, Monday, I may do all my reading. And then Tuesday, I don't have to do my 3 posts. So I'll come in there, I'm at work, I'm in the middle of the night, or I can't sleep. I go in there and I'll say, okay, I respond to my 3 posts for that day, and then I'll do something else. And I'll do a connect, or I'll do some research. And now what happens over the week, when you balance this out, you'll be surprised. The skill set you'll learn will pay off 100-fold. Not only here while you're taking online classes or your face-to-face classes, but also when you're in the business world and you have multiple tasks or multiple deadlines. If you wait till the last day, if you wait till the last minute, you are not going to do very well in this class. You'll be stressed out. When you go into the HR chapter, you'll be burned out, you'll be frazzled, you'll be yelling at your loved ones, your parents, your children, or whatever the situation is, or you will not be a very happy camper. Okay, so that's it for this week. You're all doing well. Keep up with the forums. Keep up. If you look at the posts, one more thing with the posts. Your first post by Tuesday. What you have to remember in the forums when you do the post, I update your grades within the week. So if I don't see anything by Tuesday midnight, you'll get a 0 right off the bat. Boom, boom, boom. It gets your attention, but no points. I mean, you'll see the points, but no grade, because I want you to associate your points now. Okay, and then I'll make a comment on there, and then you respond to your 3 other students that day, and so you'll get 7 points or 6 points or 5 points out of 15, and then next time you log in, I'll up them to 10, and then when your last time you log in and respond to the other students before the forum closes it's all the forums are due by Friday midnight. I have extended it to Saturday to the morning in case something happens. That should be your default. Your last post is Saturday morning, and they're turned off so you could at least get something in and not lose the points. And then you should be all done. And then that's out of the way, and then you have to connect out of the way. So if you look the way the course is set up, there's a lot of information set up that'll help you. The last thing I want to talk about, start thinking about a feasibility study topic. Am I going to open another product line, or am I going to open up another business, and what it is? And then what you'll be doing is taking information from the chapters, from the reading, and you'll be building this feasibility report, which is your last major project, and your last major project right before you take the final exam. When you do the Blackboard quizzes, each one is worth 10 points. You're for the chapters. Remember, I'm not giving a midterm or 3 separate main big exams. We're working slowly along, make the notes and everything else, and you do well. Okay, so you're doing well. Hang in there. Come on. I'm an online student and an online instructor. I was an online student and an online instructor. I've been teaching online already for the last 7, 8 years, and I've got this down pretty well. You're not the first person going through this. This is similar to what happens in the business world. You have face-to-face, but a lot of your meetings and communication is going to be done either through Skype or certain meetings or something else that's going to be all done in a virtual realm that we're in now. So my name is Dr. George Mochocki. I'm glad you're in this class. You're doing well. Mine is to help you succeed. You'll do fine. Just remember, it just takes a little way to learn. It's a different way of learning. Remember, the forums are replacing your face-to-face lecture. So you're going to learn as much, if not more, in this class as you would in a face-to-face class. So I'll see you next week when we'll be covering the other chapters. So this is Harper College, Management 111 online. My name is Dr. George Mochocki, and I'll see you online in a few days. Thank you.